Dad perfect events. He's just being dramatic for attention. Those were the exact words my daughter-in-law Diana said about me lying in a hospital bed with 3 broken ribs and a concussion. She was choosing a spa weekend over helping her injured father-in-law. I just smiled, hired a private investigator, and started collecting evidence. What she didn't know was that I'd already discovered the $47,000 she'd stolen from my accounts. A few weeks later, when the police knocked on her door with handcuffs, her shock was absolutely priceless. My name is Carl Fisher. I'm 58 years old, and I live in Phoenix, Arizona. Spent 35 years building a chain of auto repair shops from nothing. Sold them 2 years ago for $2.1 million. Now I restore classic cars in my garage and thought I was enjoying a well-deserved retirement. Turns out I was just funding someone else's luxury lifestyle while getting played like a fool. My son Victor wasn't always the man he became. I remember when he was 10, helping me change oil in the garage every Saturday morning, asking a million questions about every bolt and gasket. His small hands would carefully hand me the right wrench, eyes wide with curiosity about how engines breathed and why oil mattered. He was hard-working, eager to learn the business, talked about taking over the shops someday. That changed when he met Diana 3 years ago. Don't misunderstand me. She's attractive in that polished way some women perfect. Perfectly styled blonde hair that never seemed to move, designer clothes with tags I didn't recognize, smile that could sell snow to someone living in Death Valley. But underneath that magazine cover surface, there was something calculating, cold, like she was always doing math in her head. I noticed it the first time Victor brought her to Sunday dinner at my modest apartment. The way her blue eyes swept over my furniture, taking inventory. The slight downturn of her lips when she realized I'd downsized from the 4-bedroom house after selling the business. Every conversation somehow circled back to money. My investments, my retirement plans, how much the business had sold for. Victor just sat there grinning like he'd won the lottery, completely blind to what was happening. Victor works as a sales manager at Desert Auto Group, makes about $4,200 a month before taxes, decent salary for Phoenix. But Diana came from nothing and wanted everything fast. She'd grown up in a trailer park in Tucson, dropped out of community college, worked as a real estate assistant before she met my son. Now she saw her ticket to the good life sitting right across from her at my dinner table. Within 6 months of their marriage, they started the campaign. Subtle at first. Their apartment was too small for starting a family. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have a real house with a garage where I could work on my classic car projects? They'd found this perfect place in North Scottsdale, 3 bedrooms, 2-car garage tile roof. Only $680,000, just needed help with the down payment. I made my first mistake right there. Wrote a check for $200,000 without blinking. Told myself I was helping my son get established, giving him opportunities I never had starting out. The look on Diana's face when I signed that check should have warned me. Not gratitude, satisfaction, like she'd just closed a deal. That wasn't enough, apparently. 6 months after they moved into their new house, Victor called me on a Wednesday evening. I was in my garage working on a 1967 Mustang, grease under my fingernails, completely content. His voice sounded strained, apologetic. "Dad, we're struggling with the mortgage payments, unexpected expenses. You know, the water heater died, property taxes are higher than we thought. Could you maybe help out temporarily, just until we get established?" I started sending them $6,000 every month. Temporarily turned into 2 years. 24 months of automatic transfers, $144,000 total. Diana quit her real estate job after the 3rd payment arrived. Why work when father-in-law covered everything? She joined some expensive yoga studio in Kierland, started getting weekly spa treatments, filled their house with furniture that cost more than most people's cars. Victor said nothing about any of it. Just accepted each monthly payment like he'd inherited it from some rich uncle who owed him money. My grandson, Alan, 16 now, but only 14 when this started, was the only one who still seemed to care about me as a person instead of a walking ATM. He'd come over on weekends to help with the Mustang restoration, asking real questions about compression ratios and timing chains, reminding me of his father at that age. Through Alan, I heard about the expensive vacations Diana planned, weekend trips to San Diego, a week in Las Vegas, shopping sprees in Scottsdale, where she'd buy 3 purses in one afternoon. The new BMW 3 Series I'd indirectly paid for silver with black leather seats that she'd special ordered. Designer handbags that cost more than I used to make in a week when I started my first shop. But they were family, right? Family helps each other. That's what I told myself every first of the month when I logged into my banking app and sent another $6,000 to Victor's account. Even when it started feeling less like helping and more like being used, the accident happened on a Tuesday afternoon in March. Phoenix sun was blazing overhead, temperature already hitting 85 degrees, even though it was only 2 p.m. I was driving my pickup truck to O'Reilly Auto Parts, thinking about the carburetor rebuild waiting in my garage. Had the Mustang's engine torn down to bare metal, every part cataloged and cleaned. This was supposed to be the fun part of retirement. I was stopped at the intersection of Camelback and 40th Street, waiting for the light to turn green, music playing softly on the radio, some old Johnny Cash song. The light changed. I checked both ways like my father taught me 40 years ago, then pulled into the intersection. That's when I saw the other truck coming from my right, a beat-up Chevy Silverado with primer spots on the hood, moving way too fast for a red light. The drunk driver hit me at 45 miles per hour, T-boning my truck right into the driver's side door. The impact spun my pickup twice before it slammed into a concrete light pole. The last thing I remembered was the smell of antifreeze and the sound of breaking glass. Then everything went black. I woke up in Banner, Good Samaritan Medical Center 6 hours later, with pain radiating through my entire right side. Every breath felt like someone was stabbing me with a knife. The emergency room doctor, a tired-looking woman in her 40s, explained the damage. 3 broken ribs, severe concussion, damaged left leg that would need physical therapy. The drunk driver who hit me was in the ICU, blood alcohol level twice the legal limit. You're lucky to be alive, mister. Fisher, she said, checking my pupils with a small flashlight. Another few inches and that impact would have crushed your chest cavity. Lucky. Didn't feel lucky lying there in that sterile room, every movement sending lightning bolts of pain through my torso. I called Victor from the hospital bed, hands shaking as I dialed his number. Told him what happened, where I was, that I was hurt and scared and needed family around me. I'm at work, Dad. Big presentation this afternoon. Can it wait until evening? 4 hours later, he finally showed up. Diana was with him, wearing yoga pants and a tank top like they'd been interrupted during some casual afternoon workout. No flowers in their hands, no concerned expressions on their faces. Just irritation at having to be there. Victor stood awkwardly at the foot of my hospital bed, hands shoved deep in his pockets, looking everywhere except at my bandaged ribs. Diana stayed near the door, checking her iPhone every 30 seconds like she was expecting some urgent message about a clearance sale at Nordstrom. How are you feeling? Victor asked automatically, the question empty as a campaign promise. Like I was hit by a truck, I said, trying to shift positions and wincing as pain shot through my chest because I literally was hit by a truck. Diana looked up from her phone, irritation flashing across her perfectly made-up face. Well, the important thing is, you're okay. The hospital is taking good care of you. They have all that expensive equipment and professional nurses. Doctor says I'll need help for a few weeks, I said, watching their faces carefully. Recovery, physical therapy, getting around. Can't drive with this leg, can barely walk to the bathroom without help. That's when Diana cut me off, her voice sharp and cold as January wind. We can't take care of you, Carl. We're going to that wellness retreat in Sedona this weekend. Everything's already paid for. The spa packages, the couples massage sessions, the meditation workshops. We've been planning this for months. I stared at her, wondering if I'd heard correctly. I was in a car accident. I have 3 broken ribs and a concussion. We understand that, she said, crossing her arms defensively, but our weekend can't be canceled. You'll be fine here. They have nurses, professionals, people who actually know about medical stuff. That's what hospitals are for. I looked at Victor, waiting for him to say something. Anything. Tell his wife that his injured father took priority over hot stone massages and yoga classes. That family emergencies trumped spa appointments. That basic human decency meant staying with someone who'd given you $344,000 over 2 years when they needed help. He met my eyes for maybe half a second, then looked away like a guilty dog. Diana's right, Dad. We can't cancel now. You're in good hands here. The room felt colder suddenly, despite the Arizona sun streaming through the window and the heating system humming in the walls. I looked at these 2 people, my son and his wife, and saw them clearly for the first time in 3 years. Not family. Not people who cared about me as anything more than a monthly deposit into their checking account. Just 2 strangers wearing familiar faces, calculating the cost of human decency and finding it too expensive. Deanna was already heading toward the door, car keys jingling in her manicured hand. We should go. Still need to pack, and traffic to Sedona is terrible on Friday afternoons. Feel better, Carl. Victor hesitated at the door, guilt flickering across his face like a fluorescent light about to burn out. For a moment, I thought maybe he'd remember who raised him, who taught him right from wrong in that garage all those years ago. Then he followed his wife out, leaving me alone with the steady beep of heart monitors and the hollow ache of betrayal settling somewhere deeper than my broken ribs. I lay there for hours after they left, staring at acoustic tiles on the hospital ceiling. Every breath hurt. Every movement sent pain shooting through my side like electricity. And I thought about $6,000 a month for 24 months, $1,444,000 just handed over because I'd believed that family meant sacrifice and loyalty, about the $200,000 down payment on their house, about all those years building my business from nothing, working 12-hour days, believing that generosity would be repaid with at least basic human dignity when I needed it most. They couldn't spare one weekend, not one weekend, to help the man who'd funded their entire comfortable lifestyle. Something shifted in me then, lying in that sterile room with machines monitoring my vital signs. Something cold and calculating and absolutely certain about what came next. The nurse who came to check my vitals around 9 p.m. was kind, probably in her 50s, with gentle hands and tired eyes. She saw me staring at my phone display showing 23 missed calls from Victor and Diana. Family trouble? She asked softly. I told her they'd left me here to go to a spa weekend. Watched her expression shift from professional sympathy to genuine disgust. These healthcare workers see everything, but this apparently shocked even her. You have people who can help when you get discharged. That question settled something for me. No, I didn't have people, but I had something else. I had money, I had clarity, and I had enough pride left to stop being a victim. More importantly, I had resources they didn't know about and connections they'd never considered. I'll figure something out, I told her. But I'd already started figuring. My mind was working like it hadn't in years, planning and calculating and preparing for what would become the most satisfying few months of my retirement. Diana and Victor had just made the biggest mistake of their lives, choosing spa treatments over family loyalty. They had no idea what kind of storm they'd just unleashed or how thoroughly I was about to turn their comfortable little world upside down. The next morning, I called a home care agency from my hospital bed. They could provide a professional caregiver, someone trained in post-accident recovery, for $3,800 a month. Barbara Lewis, 55 years old with 20 years of nursing experience, could start the day I was discharged. No drama, no emotional manipulation, just professional care in exchange for professional payment. We'll have everything ready for your return home, Mr. Fisher, Barbara said during our phone interview. Her voice was warm but businesslike, exactly what I needed. The second call was harder but necessary. I pulled up my banking app on the hospital's Wi-Fi, fingers still shaky but determined. First, I canceled the automatic $6,000 monthly transfer to Victor's account. 3 clicks and 24 months of enabling was over. Then I started digging deeper into my account history, checking 6 months of statements more carefully than I'd ever bothered to before. That's when I found them. Transfers I definitely didn't remember making. $7,500 on March 15th, $8,200 on April 3rd, $6,800 on May 12th. Small amounts spread across different days designed to look normal if you weren't paying close attention. Someone had been accessing my accounts beyond the monthly payments I'd authorized. The total was $47,000 stolen over 8 months. My phone started ringing immediately after I canceled the automatic transfer. Diana's number first, then Victor's, then Diana again. I declined every call, watching the missed call counter climb. Text messages started floating in like angry hornets. Dad, there's a problem with the transfer. The money didn't come through today. We have bills to pay. This isn't funny anymore. I turned off all notifications and called my lawyer, Howard Martinez. Howard's been handling my legal work for 15 years, helped me structure the sale of my auto shops, knows me as a careful, methodical businessman who doesn't make accusations lightly. Carl, what can I do for you? His voice carried concern when I explained I was calling from a hospital bed. I told him about the unauthorized transfers, about what I'd discovered in my banking records. Howard was quiet for a long moment, and I could hear him typing on his computer, probably taking notes. Carl, this pattern sounds like elder financial abuse. That's a felony in Arizona. Class 2 if the amount exceeds $25,000. We're talking serious prison time. Are you certain about these amounts? I'm looking at the bank statements right now. $47,000 over 8 months, all unauthorized. We need to document everything carefully and involve law enforcement. I know someone in the Phoenix Police Financial Crimes Unit. Detective Glenn Rodriguez specializes in these cases. Can you meet with us once you're discharged? 2 days later, I was sitting in Howard's downtown office, still moving carefully but determined to see this through. Barbara had driven me there in her sedan, helping me navigate with my walking cane. The office building's elevator carried us to the 12th floor, where Howard's corner office overlooked the Phoenix skyline. Detective Glenn Rodriguez was already there waiting, a stocky man in his mid-40s with graying hair and intelligent eyes. He'd brought a laptop and a thick folder of documents. Howard had sent him my banking records in advance. "Mr. Fisher, I've been investigating financial elder abuse for 8 years," Rodriguez said, studying the printouts spread across Howard's conference table. "This pattern is textbook. Gradual escalation, careful timing to avoid detection, unauthorized access during a medical crisis. Are you willing to pursue criminal charges? What would that involve?" Rodriguez leaned forward, his expression serious. "We'd need to build a solid evidence case. Bank cooperation, digital forensics on your computer and accounts, possibly a controlled operation to catch them in the act. It's not quick and it's not simple. But if someone's systematically stealing from you, they're probably doing it to other elderly victims too." I thought about Diana's cold voice in that hospital room, choosing spa treatments over basic human decency. About Victor's weakness, his inability to stand up for his own father. About $47,000 taken from accounts I'd worked 35 years to build. Let's do it. Rodriguez smiled grimly. "Good. First thing we do is get your bank to preserve all digital records and start tracing these unauthorized transactions. Then we set up monitoring on your accounts to catch any future attempts." Over the next week, while Barbara helped me recover in my apartment, Rodriguez worked with my bank's fraud department. The investigation revealed something that shouldn't have surprised me but still hit like a punch to the gut. All the unauthorized transfers traced back to the same IP address, the same computer. Diana had somehow gotten access to my online banking credentials, probably during one of their visits to my place. But Rodriguez wanted more than just digital evidence. "We need to catch her in the act," Rodriguez said during our second meeting. "Digital evidence is good, but juries love to see actual criminal behavior on camera. Are you willing to let us set up surveillance in your home?" I thought about Diana's calculating eyes, the way she dismissed my injuries like an inconvenience. Absolutely. The surveillance team came the following Tuesday, installing tiny cameras in my living room and home office. Everything legal, all with proper warrants and court orders. Rodriguez's plan was elegant in its simplicity. We'd let Diana know I was confused about missing money and important documents, see if she'd come to cover her tracks or steal more. Alan unknowingly became part of the operation when he visited that weekend. While we worked on the Mustang's transmission in my garage, I mentioned casually that I couldn't find some financial paperwork, that I was worried about my memory since the accident. "Maybe you could ask your mom if she's seen anything when she was here helping after my fall last month," I said, knowing full well Diana had never helped with anything. Alan nodded, completely innocent. "Sure, Grandpa. Mom's been really stressed about money lately anyway. She might remember." The bait worked perfectly. 3 days later, Diana showed up at my apartment while Barbara was out grocery shopping. I pretended to be napping in my bedroom while hidden cameras recorded everything happening in my living room and office. Diana went straight to my home office like she owned the place. She opened my filing cabinet with a key she absolutely shouldn't have had, photographing financial documents with her iPhone. Then she turned on my computer, and I watched later as she accessed my online banking, checking account balances and recent activity. But the real evidence came when she opened my desk drawer and pulled out a checkbook, made out a check to D. Coleman Home Care Services for $5,000, forging my signature with practiced ease. This wasn't her first time. The handwriting analysis later showed she'd probably done this at least 6 times before. Rodriguez arrested Diana the following Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m., right in front of their North Scottsdale house. I wasn't there to see it, but Alan called me 2 hours later, voice shaking with confusion. "Grandpa, something crazy happened. Police came and arrested Mom. They had handcuffs and everything. Dad's freaking out." Victor called me 30 minutes after Alan, his voice a mixture of confusion, anger, and something that might have been fear. "Dad, what the hell is going on?" "Police arrested Diana. They're saying financial elder abuse, fraud, forgery. This has to be some kind of mistake. No mistake, Victor. She's been stealing from me for months. $47,000 in unauthorized transfers, plus forged checks. It's all documented. Silence on the line that lasted so long I thought the call had dropped. Then, that's impossible. Diana wouldn't. Victor, I have video of her in my office yesterday, writing herself a check for $5,000 and forging my signature. The bank has records of every unauthorized transfer. Your wife is a thief. The next few weeks were the most satisfying of my retirement. Diana's lawyer tried every angle they could think of. She'd had permission for all transfers. She was confused about the amounts. She was just trying to help manage my finances. But the evidence was overwhelming. Security cameras showing her breaking into my home office. Bank records proving unauthorized access. Digital forensics from my computer showing her login activity. Forged checks with her fingerprints. The preliminary hearing was held in a downtown Phoenix courthouse, a sterile room with fluorescent lights and worn carpet. Diana sat at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit, her perfectly styled hair now pulled back in a simple ponytail. No more designer clothes, no more manicured nails, just the reality of facing 5 years in state prison for elder financial abuse. Victor came to see me during the court proceedings, looking like he'd aged 10 years in a month. He sat in my living room with his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. I didn't know about the money, Dad. I swear on Mom's grave I didn't know Diana was stealing from you. But you knew about choosing a spa weekend over helping your injured father. He looked up, tears streaming down his face. Yes, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. I should have stood up to her, should have protected you. Diana's going to prison, Victor. 30 months minimum for elder financial abuse, another 18 for fraud and forgery. The judge wants to send a message about protecting seniors from family predators. I'm divorcing her, he said quietly. Filed papers yesterday. I want full custody of Alan. He shouldn't have to pay for his mother's crimes. The final sentencing hearing was 6 months later. Diana received 30 months in state prison and was ordered to pay $73,000 in restitution, covering the stolen money plus legal costs and punitive damages. Her accomplice, some boyfriend who'd helped forge documents, got 18 months probation. Victor testified against her, which helped his divorce case tremendously. He got full custody of Alan and kept the house, though he had to take out a new mortgage to pay me back the $200,000 down payment. I want to earn things myself from now on, Dad. No more handouts. Good, I said. That's how it should be. These days, Victor comes by every Sunday with Alan. We work on the Mustang together, and Victor's remembering skills he learned as a kid. The engine purrs like a satisfied cat now. That beautiful V8 rumble filling my garage every weekend. Alan's become quite the mechanic, probably better than his father was at 16. Victor's also started paying me back the $144,000 in monthly payments, $800 at a time. It'll take him years, but he insists on it. I need to make this right, he says. Diana's in Perryville Women's Prison, learning that actions have consequences. The wealthy lifestyle evaporated the moment those handcuffs clicked. The house she'd filled with expensive furniture, Victor sold most of it to pay legal bills. The BMW repossessed when she couldn't make payments from a prison cell. Detective Rodriguez told me my case helped them arrest 4 other people running similar scams on elderly victims. The legal precedent made elder financial abuse prosecutions easier statewide. But the best part? Last Sunday, Alan looked up from the carburetor we were rebuilding and said, "Grandpa, I'm proud of you for fighting back. Dad should have protected you. But you protected yourself." Sometimes the best lesson you can teach your family is that respect can't be bought, and you won't be taken advantage of no matter who's doing the taking. Diana learned that lesson in handcuffs. Victor's learning it by paying me back honestly, and me? I'm just enjoying my retirement, surrounded by people who actually value me for more than my bank account. The Mustang runs perfectly now, so does my life. Family isn't defined by blood, but by who shows up when you're broken. And sometimes protecting yourself from toxic family members is the most loving thing you can do, for them and for yourself. I spent 35 years building wealth, thinking it would buy me love and respect. Turns out, the moment I stopped giving handouts was the moment I started getting genuine relationships back.